Hey everyone, ready for another deep dive?
Always excited to dig into something new.
Well, today we're tackling how to flip those setbacks we all hit and turn them into awesome comebacks.
Ah, the art of turning lemons into lemonade.
Exactly. And our guide for this is overcoming challenges, turning setbacks into comebacks.
Sounds promising.
It is. And get this, it even uses J.K. Rowling's Harry Potter journey as an example.
Oh, wow, yeah. That's a great one. All those rejections she faced.
Talk about a setback turn phenomenon, right?
It's incredible, isn't it? What really hit me about this source is how it shifts our whole idea of resilience.
Interesting. In what way?
It's not just bouncing back, it's more like using those tough times to push yourself ahead.
I like that.
Yeah, becoming stronger, more adaptable because of those obstacles.
Okay, I love that idea. But it also makes me wonder, how do we actually build that kind of resilience? Like, is it something we're born with or can we learn it?
That's where it gets really interesting. The source actually goes into the psychology of it. Specifically, this thing called the ABCX model.
ABCX. Okay, I'm all ears. Lay it on me.
All right. So it's a framework, right? Developed by this sociologist, Reuben Hill.
Gotcha.
Helps us understand how people and even families cope with crises.
Okay, I'm following.
So the A stands for the stressor. The setback, that challenge you face.
Makes sense.
B is your resources, your support system, financial stability. And importantly, your coping skills, your mindset.
Oh, that's huge.
Right. C is how you see the event. Is it a threat, a challenge, an opportunity, maybe?
How you perceive it.
Exactly. And lastly, X is the crisis itself, the whole experience, the outcome.
The result of all those factors.
And it's heavily influenced by the interplay of A, B, and C.
Okay, let me see if I've got this straight. So it's not just the setback itself, but how we see it and the resources we have that really decide how things turn out.
Exactly. And that's where our power lies. We can actively work on our B, our resources, how we cope, and even shift our C, how we view things, to see challenges as chances for growth.
Okay, that's starting to feel a lot more actionable.
Right.
So let's say I'm dealing with a setback right now. What are some concrete steps I can take to start building that resilience and turning things around?
Well, the source has these 4 powerful steps for bouncing back from failure.
Okay, hit me with those steps.
And they line up perfectly with that ABCX model we talked about.
Love it when things connect like that.
First, it's crucial to just accept and analyze what's happened.
Oh, don't just ignore it.
Right. Don't sweep it under the rug. Get curious about it.
Ooh, that's a good approach.
Ask yourself, what really happened here? What things led to this outcome?
Yeah, break it down.
And most importantly, what can I actually learn from this whole experience?
That's such a good point. It's so easy to get stuck in the feeling of failure and miss those lessons.
Absolutely. And the next step, well, this is where things get really interesting.
All right, bring on the magic.
It's about shifting your perspective. Instead of seeing the setback as a dead end, try to see it as a detour, maybe even a necessary one.
Okay, I'm intrigued. Can you give us like an example of how someone might actually reframe a setback in a positive way?
Think about someone who gets laid off from a job they've been at for years.
Oh, that's tough.
Huge shock, right? You feel disappointed, uncertain about the future.
Totally.
But what if, instead of seeing it as a failure, they see it as a chance to finally chase that passion project they've always wanted to do?
I like that. Or like maybe explore a whole new career path.
Exactly. One that fits their values better.
Ah, I see what you mean. It's about finding that hidden opportunity within the challenge.
You got it.
It's like that quote, sometimes you have to get knocked down lower than you've ever been to stand up taller than you ever were.
Exactly. That's the power of perspective.
Love it. So step 3, what's next?
Now, step 3 is all about developing what's called a growth mindset. This is where we really tap into our B, remember?
Yeah, the resources.
Our internal resources, exactly.
Okay, I've heard a lot about growth mindset, but to be honest, I'm not sure I fully get what it means in practice. Can you break it down for us?
Sure. A growth mindset, as psychologist Carol Dweck puts it, is the belief that your abilities aren't fixed. Like you can always learn and improve through effort and experience.
So it's not about being stuck where you are.
Exactly. Instead of seeing failures as proof of your limits, you see them as chances to grow, to learn. It's like thinking of your brain as a muscle. The more you challenge it, the stronger it gets.
Okay, that makes sense. So instead of saying, I'm just not good at this, someone with a growth mindset might say, I'm not good at this yet.
You got it. And that yet makes all the difference. It opens up the possibility for growth and improvement.
Love that. So how do we actually cultivate this growth mindset? Is it just about positive self-talk, or is there more to it?
It's definitely more than just affirmations, although those can help. It's about actively seeking out challenges, embracing feedback, and focusing on learning, not just the end result.
It's about the process, not just the destination.
You got it. And understanding that mistakes, well, they're part of growth. You got to use them to refine your approach.
So it's about being okay with being a beginner, with not knowing everything, and being willing to learn and grow along the way.
Exactly. And you know what? That brings us to our fourth step, and maybe the most important one, taking action.
Okay, so we've accepted things, reframed our view, embraced the growth mindset. Now it's time to put it all into practice.
Precisely. It's time to get back up, dust yourself off, and start moving forward.
So what does that look like?
It's about taking those small steps, experimenting, adjusting as you go.
Okay, I'm already feeling more empowered just hearing this.
Good.
But I'm also wondering, how do we go beyond just bouncing back and actually use these setbacks to create something even bigger and better? How do we turn those setbacks into major comebacks?
That's where things get really exciting.
Lay it on me.
The source outlines 3 powerful strategies for turning setbacks into launching pads for success.
All right, so we've laid the groundwork for resilience, but now I'm really curious about these strategies for turning setbacks into comebacks. That's where the real magic happens, right?
Absolutely. The first strategy is all about reframing your narrative. Remember how we talked about shifting your perspective?
Yeah, seeing things differently.
This takes it a step further. Instead of just viewing setbacks as neutral events or detours, we're going to actively look for the opportunity within the setback.
Okay, I'm all for finding the silver lining, but sometimes setbacks feel pretty bleak. How can we actually reframe those experiences in a way that feels authentic and empowering?
That's a great question. And it really gets to the heart of this strategy. It's not about denying the difficulty of the experience or pretending everything is fine.
Right, that wouldn't feel very genuine.
Exactly. It's about asking yourself, what can I learn from this? How can this experience help me grow? What new opportunities might this open up?
So it's about actively seeking out the potential benefits or lessons that might be hidden within the setback.
Precisely. And sometimes those benefits aren't immediately apparent. Think back to the example of Michael Jordan being cut from his high school basketball team.
Yeah, classic example.
In that moment, it probably felt like a devastating blow. But imagine if he had let that experience define him. We might never have seen the incredible athlete he became.
That's such a powerful example. But I'm wondering, was there something specific Jordan did to turn that rejection into fuel? Did he have a particular mindset or strategy?
There are actually a few key elements to his story that highlight this reframing strategy. First, he didn't internalize the rejection as a reflection of his worth or potential.
He didn't let it get to him.
Right. Instead, he saw it as a challenge to overcome.
Like a mountain to climb.
Exactly. Second, he used the experience to fuel his determination. He practiced relentlessly, often visualizing himself succeeding on the court.
So he used that setback as motivation. I like that.
And finally, he used the feedback he received that he needed to improve, to develop his skills, and become a better player.
So it wasn't just about positive thinking. It was about channeling that disappointment into action and using it as motivation to improve.
Exactly. And that's a crucial element of reframing. It's not just about thinking differently. It's about using that new perspective to fuel your actions and guide your decisions.
Okay, I'm starting to see how this strategy can be really powerful. What about the second strategy? What role does that play in turning setbacks into comebacks?
The second strategy is all about cultivating a supportive network.
Having people in your corner.
Exactly. This taps into the B in the ABCX model, our resources.
The resources, right.
Who are the people you can turn to for support, encouragement, and honest feedback? Surrounding yourself with people who believe in you and your vision can make all the difference when you're facing challenges.
I think that's something we often underestimate, the power of human connection, especially during tough times. Sometimes just having someone to listen and offer a different perspective can be incredibly helpful. But what if you don't have a strong support system? What if you feel isolated or alone in your struggles?
That's an important point, and it highlights the proactive nature of this strategy. Building a supportive network takes effort and intention.
So you can't just expect it to happen on its own.
Right. It's about reaching out, building relationships, and being an active participant in communities that align with your values and goals. And it's not just about seeking support when things are tough. It's about celebrating successes together, sharing ideas, and learning from each other's experiences.
So it's about building those connections before you need them and nurturing those relationships over time.
Exactly. And it's important to remember that support can come from various sources: family, friends, mentors, colleagues, even online communities. The key is to identify the people and spaces that feel safe, encouraging, and inspiring to you.
I love that idea, curating your own support ecosystem. It's about choosing the people and environments that help you thrive. All right, so we've talked about reframing our narrative and building a supportive network. What's the third strategy for turning setbacks into comebacks?
The third strategy, and perhaps the most crucial, is persistence.
Never giving up.
You got it. This is where we put all of those internal resources and external support to work. It's about refusing to give up on your vision, even when you encounter obstacles, setbacks, and moments of doubt.
You know, it's funny, we often hear about those overnight successes, but what we don't see are the years of hard work, dedication, and yes, setbacks that went into building that success. It's so easy to get discouraged when we compare ourselves to those highlight reels without seeing the full picture.
You're absolutely right. It's crucial to remember that almost every success story is built on a foundation of persistence. Think about J.K. Rowling again. Imagine if she had given up after the first few rejections.
She probably wouldn't be the household name she is today.
Right. Or how many times do you think Michael Jordan failed before he mastered that perfect slam dunk? It's about recognizing that setbacks are an inevitable part of the journey, and it's our ability to persevere that truly defines us.
I love that idea that persistence is what separates those who achieve their goals from those who don't. But what does persistence actually look like in practice? Is it just about gritting your teeth and pushing through no matter what?
It's definitely about having a strong will and a deep commitment to your vision, but it's also about being smart and strategic. Persistence isn't just about blindly charging forward.
So it's not just about brute force.
Exactly. It's about learning from your setbacks, adjusting your approach, and finding new ways to move towards your goals.
So it's about being adaptable, being willing to pivot, and not being afraid to try new things.
Exactly. It's about having that unwavering belief in yourself and your vision, but also being open to feedback, learning from your mistakes, and refining your strategies along the way. It's about embracing the long game and recognizing that true success is often a marathon, not a sprint.
Okay, I'm feeling super inspired. But I'm also curious, how do we cultivate that kind of persistence? Is it something we can develop, or are some people just naturally more persistent than others?
That's a fascinating question. And it goes back to the idea of building our internal resources. Persistence is like a muscle. The more we use it, the stronger it becomes.
Like going to the gym for your willpower.
Exactly. And just like any muscle, it needs to be trained and nourished.
So how do we train our persistence muscle? What are some practical tips for developing that unwavering determination?
One of the most powerful ways to cultivate persistence is to set clear, meaningful goals. When you have a clear vision of what you want to achieve, it's easier to stay motivated and focused even when things get tough.
That makes sense. It's like having that North Star guiding you through the challenges. But what about those moments when we inevitably hit a wall and feel like giving up? How do we push through those feelings of doubt and discouragement?
That's where having a strong support system becomes so crucial. Remember those people we talked about earlier, the ones who believe in you and your vision? They can be your cheerleaders, your accountability partners, and your sounding boards when you need to process those difficult emotions.
So it's about recognizing that we don't have to go it alone, that we can lean on others for support and encouragement.
Absolutely. And it's also about developing those internal coping mechanisms, those mental and emotional tools that help you manage stress, regulate your emotions, and stay focused on the bigger picture. Things like mindfulness, positive self-talk, and gratitude practices can be incredibly helpful in building that inner resilience.
Okay, so we've covered a lot of ground here. We've explored these 3 powerful strategies for turning setbacks into comebacks, reframing our narrative, building a supportive network, and cultivating persistence. What does all of this mean for our listeners? What's the key takeaway they can walk away with?
If we connect all of these ideas, the key takeaway is this. Setbacks are not the end of the story. They are opportunities for growth, learning, and transformation.
Setbacks are just part of the journey.
Exactly. You have the power to turn those setbacks into something positive, something that propels you forward on your journey. It's about recognizing that resilience is a skill, and like any skill, it can be learned, practiced, and mastered.
It's so powerful. It's like we're not just surviving setbacks. We're actually using them to level up.
That's the beauty of resilience. It's about recognizing that setbacks are an inevitable part of life, and it's how we respond to them that shapes our journey.
This has been such an insightful deep dive. I feel like I have a whole new toolkit for dealing with setbacks. Before we wrap up, is there anything else you want to leave our listeners with? A final thought to ponder, maybe?
I think it would be incredibly powerful for everyone listening to just take a moment and think about a personal challenge they have overcome.
Ooh, I like that.
It could be something big, like starting a business.
Yeah, but big leap.
Or going back to school.
Right, or something smaller.
Yeah, like learning a new skill or maybe facing a fear.
Something that pushed you out of your comfort zone.
Exactly. Whatever it is, I encourage you to just reflect on that experience.
Take a trip down memory lane.
How did you feel during that challenge? What steps did you take to overcome it?
Yeah, what was your process?
What did you learn from that experience?
Ooh, good question.
And how did that experience shape who you are today?
That's powerful. I love that. Because, sometimes it's easy to forget how far we've come and how much we've already overcome.
It's true.
It's like we get so focused on the next challenge.
Yeah.
We forget to celebrate our past victories.
Absolutely.
So often those experiences, even the tough ones, are the things that shape our resilience. They make us who we are.
They really do. And by reflecting on those past experiences, we can start to identify those patterns of resilience that have served us well.
Recognize our strengths.
Exactly. And maybe even those areas where we can continue to grow and develop.
See where we could improve.
Maybe we discover that, we're really good at reframing our narrative. But we need to work on building a stronger support network.
Oh, yeah, finding those people.
Or maybe we realize that, hey, we've developed incredible persistence, but we could benefit from practicing more self-compassion along the way.
That's such a great point. It's not just about recognizing our strengths, but also about identifying those areas where we can continue to grow and evolve. And the beautiful thing is, by understanding these principles of resilience, we can actually become more intentional about cultivating those qualities within ourselves.
Absolutely. Resilience is not a fixed trait. It's a skill that can be learned, practiced, and strengthened over time.
You can train it like a muscle.
Exactly. And the more we understand the tools and strategies that support resilience, the more equipped we are to navigate those inevitable challenges that life throws our way.
This has been such an eye-opening deep dive. I feel like I have a whole new toolkit for dealing with setbacks. Before we wrap up, is there anything else you want to leave our listeners with?
Sometimes the most powerful thing we can do is simply remember that we're not alone.
We're all in this together.
We all face challenges, we all experience setbacks, but it's how we choose to respond that truly defines us.
I love that.
And by embracing these principles of resilience, by reframing our narratives, building supportive networks, and cultivating persistence, we can not only overcome those challenges, but actually use them as fuel to propel ourselves forward on our journey.
Beautifully said. So remember, dear listener, you are more resilient than you think.
You really are.
And with the right tools and strategies, you can turn any setback into a stepping stone towards something even greater.
And never forget, you are not alone on this journey. We are all in this together.
That's it for our deep dive today. We hope you found this exploration of resilience insightful and empowering. We'd love to hear your thoughts, so feel free to reach out and share your own experiences with turning setbacks into comebacks. Until next time, keep diving deep and keep embracing those challenges.